Hi, everybody. This is Chad Paulson, your Next Home Culture Committee Vice Chair, and I'm here with our NextHomie Broker of the Month, Brian Chism. Congratulations, Brian.
Thanks, Chad. Thanks for having me on. Didn't know this was coming, so quite a surprise, I guess you could say.
Well, someone nominated you, and after getting to know you the last couple of years, I know it was a great nomination. You're a great person for this job or for this award.
Well, well, thank you. I have enough jobs. I don't need any more.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you just a few simple questions so we get to know you a little better.
Okay.
All right, so just tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you did before real estate, your family, hobbies, your current role in real estate, and which next home office you represent.
Yeah, so I'll start with the end and I guess work my way backwards. I am NextHome Chism Realty in Brandenburg, Kentucky, which is a little town about an hour kind of southwest of Louisville. We are right on the Ohio River, so I can be in Indiana in like 5 minutes. So that has made it tricky, but I'm now dual licensed in both states, so that makes things a little bit easier to kind of work a bigger geographical area. I basically kind of got into the business about 10 years ago almost, really kind of as, I wouldn't say a joke, but kind of like somebody was like, well, why don't you go do real estate and get your license? And I kind of blew it off and then thought, well, maybe I could do it. I was kind of in between opportunities at the time, went and took the course. Really didn't have any plans to get in it. Not like I am now, but here we are 10 years later and I'm in and there's no getting out at this point, which I guess is not a bad thing.
No.
I've done a little bit of everything, I guess, over the years. So when I got out of college, I was in political campaign work, managing political campaigns. I ran a former Speaker of the House here in Kentucky's campaign fresh out of college
Oh, wow.
and really enjoyed that, but knew I didn't want to do that forever, mainly because you were working all the time and you literally just didn't ever get off, which it's funny. I feel like there's days that's very similar here. So I really didn't get away from that, but I guess that's neither here nor there. So did that for a little while. That campaign ended, knew I didn't want to do that forever. Then I worked for a nonprofit cattle association, managing their association. And association management with a board of directors that is non-paid and not professionals was interesting. And realized that was not for me. And then I went and worked for an auction company for about 3 years. It was an online auction company out of Nebraska. Worked for them, basically calling on large commercial accounts, banks, things like that. So really done a lot of different things, not necessarily all related to agriculture, or I'm sorry, to auctions and real estate. But I guess the agriculture part, I grew up on a family farm, and in addition to real estate, I still live
Okay.
on that family farm and run that. So have a small cattle herd of about 25 head of commercial cattle that I take care of, and then keep the farm up as well. So that keeps me busy. And then I have a wild 3-year-old Australian Shepherd dog that just runs all the time named Teddy. So that keeps me pretty busy, I guess. And that's pretty much the high level info, I guess, on my background, you could say.
Any other hobbies that you have?
Well, Keith and I don't know about James, but Keith probably knows this because we've talked about bourbon in the past. But obviously, being in Kentucky, bourbon is a big part of that. I have family members that work in the industry. So once I turned 21, I really kind of, I wouldn't say become enamored, but maybe a little bit with bourbon. So really like anything related to bourbon, whether that's collecting, finding a hard to find bottle, going on the bourbon trail,
Mhm.
those type things. I'm an outdoors person, so that's part of the reason I think I wanted to get into real estate when the time was kind of there. I didn't want to be stuck in an office all the time. So that kind of allowed me the flexibility to be outside and do things. So I guess that's it.
No, that's great. A hobby I can appreciate.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy one, I guess.
Yeah. So how long have you been with Next Home, and why did you choose Next Home?
Okay, so let's see here. I opened the office, I believe, in February of 2023. It was the year that conference was in Vegas.
Okay.
I think conference was like the third week of February that year, and Charles was like, "You should come to conference. It's this week." And I've literally been open like 2 or 3 weeks. Didn't know anybody at all other than Charis, I think. Went to conference and was like, "Well, this is great, but I don't really know anybody." But it's been great ever since then. I think I just kind of stumbled across the brand, to be honest with you. I had seen it when I worked in another market, really didn't know that much about it, but it was talking to some franchises and it was quite comical. Their technology and their tools and everything was like from the 1980s, and they were so proud of the tools that they had. And then I talked to Charles and saw some of the things that NextHome had and was like, wow, this is like hands down 10 times better than what this other company is. And then I think from the time I first talked to Charles to the time I signed, it was well over a year. And I appreciated the fact that she didn't push me and wasn't trying to sell me like some of the other ones were. She said, I knew you'd call when the time was right, and you did, and here we are.
Awesome. What are your favorite things about being a NextHomie?
Well, I think the orange culture obviously is one. I was very hesitant about that at first because being right beside Tennessee, they have that god awful Tennessee orange, and people around here just don't like the orange. But it's definitely grown on me over the years. So it's definitely a unique brand that stands out. That's what I really like. The dog and Luke is really great too. It's kind of funny, kind of a story related to the brand and what I like about it. I put a digital billboard up at our office about a year ago now, and it's on a major highway, and we use Luke in everything that we do. And I put a graphic up on that first day, and one of them was like it was Luke, and then it had said like Luke, home of the orange bulldog, or something beside that. Well, this guy stops in the office, and I don't get foot traffic just based on where the office is, and just as serious as he could be, he said, "Where's Luke?" And I like pointed to one that I have on the wall that's painted. And I said, "Well, he's right here." And he's like, "No, where is Luke?" And he was like super upset that there was not an actual Luke. So I got him a keychain. I was like, well, this is about the best that I can do. But it's such a relatable thing that people can relate with that I really think just stands out from any other brand that I really like. And then I think lastly, and this is kind of one that it's hard to show people, but the culture. When you go to an event and you see all the people there, we're all somewhat competitors, but at the end of the day, we're all friends. We all get along so well. And I think that is something that is so unique to this brand is having been a part of other companies, big and small, that's just not the case. Everybody is not as friendly. It's just not as big of a family atmosphere. And until you're in and you go to an event, it's hard to see that and understand it because it really is unique to this brand.
Yeah, I agree completely. Who are some people who influence and inspire you in your career?
Oh gosh. I think ones that come to mind would be the people that I got to know through political campaign work, and they were in the business, and they basically said, "Well, why don't you go get your license?" And like I said, I kind of blew them off, but they really were the ones that kind of helped me get into it. I can remember for probably the first year, any event that they went to, not every showing, but a lot of the showings that they went to, I was there with them, and they were substantially older. It was a husband and his wife that did it together, and they basically took me under their wing and really helped get me acquainted with people, helped me understand what I was doing. So they really gave me the foundation to be successful, and I still remember that to this day and still talk to them on a very regular basis. But they have been a tremendous asset and support to me and being successful in this business.
That's great. What do you love about real estate? And tell us a few of your life goals.
Oh gosh, what do I love about real estate? I think for me, it's the people. No 2 days are ever the same. That is somewhat exciting, but somewhat overwhelming, I think, for me and a lot of other people. But it's the relationships, and I like to think of things as like puzzle pieces putting a puzzle together. No two situations are the same, and how we go about managing that and helping people through those is really rewarding. And it's rewarding to see the success and their happiness when they get into something or when they sell a property or move on to the next thing of their life. that's really exciting for me. Um, Granted, there's days about real estate that drives me crazy, like anything else, but I just think the people in those relationships is what's so great. There was another part to that that I forgot,
Any
Chad.
life goals, career goals?
Um, I think obviously growing the business is a life goal for me. It's been a slow process, but I was kind of intentional with that. So I would like to continue to grow the business and then kind of, it's not necessarily related to real estate. And if you want to cut this out, you can, but something that I would like to have is, and I think there's a need in our market, is for an auction piece, whether that's real estate or personal property. I've had a lot of clients here recently that have had personal property. They had a spouse die. They have a farm with a lot of property that is personal that they need to get rid of, and they don't know how to do that. And there's not a lot of solutions here in our area to do that. So that's a goal that I'm kind of working on in a process that I would like to get taken care of. Kentucky has a lot of legalities and licenses, as you can imagine, that go along with that. But I think just having that as another offering to go in the toolkit for consumers is a goal that I have, and I'm working on at the moment.
Sounds great. Okay, last question for you.
Oh boy, you're building up to it.
Tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
Oh gosh. I guess I'll give you two short ones. I was
Perfect.
at the doctor in January and this scar is relatively new and I passed out, just sitting there with the doctor. So most people don't know that. That's why that scar is there. And then secondly, I think one that's kind of interesting that people don't know, I went to a concert when I was in high school and ended up on stage with the performer dancing and basically had prom on stage with her. So if you look that up on YouTube, you can find the video.
And who was that?
Lauren Elena that was on American Idol.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
was a
awesome.
total fluke that this lady comes before the show starts and was like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, "I don't know if I need to tell you that." And she like, I told her, and she left and came back, and she's like, "I need you to come with me." And I'm like, "What is going on?" Like, and at that point, I realized she had like a lanyard, so I thought, well, it's probably like somewhat legit. And then she explained like the whole process, and they like upgraded our seats to the pit, and then they turned the house lights on, and she picked me out of the stage to have prom on stage because if she was at home in high school, she would have had prom that night, and she was in Louisville, Kentucky at a concert.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a fun
Brian,
one.
congratulations. Like I said, I've gotten to know you over the last couple of years, and this is a well-earned honor. And
Oh,
we're just
thank you,
really
Chad. I
happy to have you
appreciate
with
it.
us.